Between 1967 and 1970, up to 3 million Nigerians died. Not from a foreign invasion, not from a natural disaster. Nigeria killed its own people. And then, never spoke about it again. This is the story of the Biafran War, the deadliest conflict in African history since World War II, and the one Nigeria has spent 50 years pretending to have moved on from.
Nigeria was never designed to be one country. In 1914, British colonial administrators merged two entirely separate territories into a single entity called Nigeria. Over 250 ethnic groups, 3 major regions, 3 major religions. 0 consultation from the people being merged. The predominantly Muslim Hausa Fulani North, the Yoruba West, the Igbo and Christian East. 3 worlds forced to share one flag. When Britain handed over independence in 1960, they handed over a country held together by colonial administration alone. Remove the administration, and the tension had nowhere to go but inward. 6 years later, it exploded.
January 1966. A group of mostly Igbo military officers staged Nigeria's first coup. The prime minister was assassinated. Northern political leaders were killed. 6 months later, northern officers staged a counter-coup. And what followed was not just a change of government, it was a massacre. Across northern Nigeria, Igbo civilians were hunted, pulled from vehicles, killed in markets, slaughtered in their homes. An estimated 30,000 dead in weeks. Over 1 million Igbo people fled back to the eastern region. The Igbo people looked at the country that was supposed to protect them, and they made a decision. On the 30th of May, 1967, military governor Odumogu Ojukwu stood before a crowd of eastern Nigerians and declared the independent Republic of Biafra. The federal government, under General Yakubu Gowon, called it illegal. A police action, they said. Quick, contained, over in weeks. It lasted 30 months. Biafra had oil. Britain and the Soviet Union backed the federal government, securing their access to it. France quietly backed Biafra. The war became a proxy conflict before the first major battle had ended. The great powers had chosen sides. The Igbo people were on their own. What turned this war into a catastrophe was not just the fighting, it was the blockade. The federal government cut off every supply route into Biafra. Food, medicine, everything. The strategy was deliberate, documented, defended openly by Nigerian officials at the time. Inside the shrinking Biafran territory, the population starved. Images of children with swollen bellies from kwashiorkor were broadcast around the world for the first time via television news. The world watched, and largely did nothing. Relief flights were blocked. Some were shot down. Over 1 million people, the majority of them children, died not from bullets, from hunger, deployed as a weapon. In January 1970, Biafra collapsed. Ojukwu fled into exile. His deputy, Philip Effiong, surrendered on behalf of the Biafran people. General Gowon announced a policy of no victor, no vanquished, reconciliation, reconstruction, rehabilitation. The words were generous. The actions were not. Igbo civil servants lost their federal positions. Businesses and bank accounts were seized. Reconstruction funds promised to the East never arrived. Igbo officers were systematically purged from the military. and nobody talked about it. No Truth Commission. No War Crimes Tribunal. No national reckoning. The war ended. Nigeria moved on. The wound was closed without being cleaned.
The silence after the Biafran War was not accidental. It was a policy. No official death toll was ever published by the Nigerian government. No memorial was built. No National Day of Remembrance established. The war was removed from school curriculums in many states. An entire generation of Nigerian children grew up knowing almost nothing about the deadliest conflict their country had ever fought. When you don't name a wound, it doesn't heal. It festers. And 50 years later, Nigeria is still bleeding from it. The world's silence over Biafra disturbed people far beyond Nigeria's borders. In May 1969, a young American student named Bruce Mayrock walked to the United Nations headquarters in New York. He set himself on fire on the lawn outside, in protest of the world's inaction over the starvation of Biafran civilians. He died from his injuries the next day. He was 20 years old.
This is Untold Africa, Ancient Verdict. The Biafran War was not a footnote. It was a defining event in the history of modern Africa. A war that showed what happens when colonial borders are drawn without consent, when ethnic tensions are handed independence without resolution, and when the powerful decide that silence is cheaper than justice. 3 million people died, most of them civilians, most of them children, in a war fought on their own soil by their own countrymen, backed by foreign powers protecting oil interests. A war does not end when the guns go silent. It ends when the dead are counted, named, grieved. Nigeria has never done that. Some secrets were never meant to surface, but 3 million graves are very hard to keep quiet.